Hello people of the internet, welcome back to the Armbar arcade and welcome back to Nay's Retro Lounge, where today we are playing Tetris, the original, and Tetris DX, potentially the best version of Tetris ever released, at least in my opinion. Obviously recently Tetris 99 has been taken off, where you compete against 99 other people in Tetris, try and last as long as possible. But these are the OG games really, is the Game Boy cart for Tetris DX, and currently the original Tetris cart is in the SNES, ready to go. So we've got the original music, we've got the original cart, we're going to go with game type A, and we're going to get some Tetris going. We'll start at level 0 and just see how we do. Now I had very few Game Boy games. When I first got my Game Boy Color, I started off with Bugs Bunny Crazy Castle 4, which was good, it was a little platforming game. Thunderbirds, which was a decent representation of the Thunderbirds show, although it was a little bit difficult towards the second half of the game. And apart from the Harry Potter RPG style Game Boy Color game, the only other game I had was Tetris DX. So I played that thing over and over and over until I was just the Tetris master. At least I like to think so. I mean, you can judge for yourselves whether or not I'm any good at Tetris. It's been a little while, but the skills should not have worn off. I have been considering getting Tetris 99 just to sort of slam dunk people online, but obviously I need a Nintendo Switch for that, so we're going to start by trying to get as many Tetrises as possible and then see where we go from there. Obviously, the act of a Tetris is to clear 4 lines at once, just in case you weren't aware of what constitutes a Tetris. And these are the tetrominos, the geometric shapes which link together to clear lines and score you points. As far as I know, they also all have names, but why would you name your tetrominos? Like, that one's called Dave, that one's called Steve. I don't know what they're called, but I just call them like L shape, S shape. You know what I mean? My brain sort of reads them faster than I can name them. We're looking for one of the T-shaped ones to go in that little gap we've got going. Yeah, it's just a little chill stream. I've been kind of ill this week, to be honest. Like, still battling with the same cold we had last week in the Retro Lounge. That's how long that's been hanging around. So I didn't want to do anything too strenuous in terms of games, but I also did want to try and play something that I really liked, because, you know, in the Retro Lounge, it's worth playing things that I've never played before, but a lot of the time I'll feel like proper retro experiences. Let's see if Twitch isn't being your ex now. What is that supposed to mean, Nick? Could you elaborate on whatever that's supposed to mean? I guess this stream's going to be a little bit more chat heavy, and if you've got anything you want to discuss or say, I can read chat whilst playing Tetris. It's quite a... Oh, I should have put that. I see where I should have put that now. Yeah, it's quite a chill Tetris stream. A little bit of practice just in case I do take up Tetris 99. Probably won't. Not in the near future anyway. We're going to have to put this somewhere strange. Let's put it there. And then we can clear the lines around it pretty quickly. I always found problem solving in Tetris was quite a fun thing to do as well. If you accidentally mess up a little bit, you can quite easily clear lines and get yourself back to a nice neutral position. Other versions of Tetris that I've played, there's quite a good phone version of Tetris that I think EA do on the App Store. I quite enjoy that. It's decent enough for fun. I think the touch control, when it's really, really quick and the levels are going by super fast, I think the touch controls can be a little bit fiddly. But on earlier levels, it's literally just like playing Tetris, which is great. There's a few games on the N64, which is, I think, Tetrisphere, which is 3D Tetris on like a spherical plane. That just sort of blows my mind. Like, having played Tetris not on a 3D plane, I end up thinking, this is too complex. Let's go back to 2D, please. I mean, it's cool that the N64 could do that. Like, it was the 3D era. It's just a little bit unnecessary when it comes to Tetris. You know, sometimes simpler is better. This is the simplest version of Tetris, obviously, unless you get sort of an even more simple pre-programmed version in one of these like 400-in-1 consoles, but this is the baseline of Tetris. This is about as simple Tetris as it's going to get. Now there are I think there's one other mode. There's Type B Tetris, which I think has a time limit, or there's some sort of difference to it. And there's a couple of other tunes on this original version of Tetris. But once we've exhausted those massive possibilities, we'll probably switch over to Tetris DX and show you what the absolute greatest version of Tetris is all about. I don't know what Tetris 99 controls like. I might have to give it a go just to see if it's as smooth as Tetris DX. That being said, the SNES controller might actually make any Tetris game a little bit worse, because the SNES controller I've got is the D-pad's a little bit spongy, I guess you could say. But yeah, we're already up to 38 lines in total, which is decent, unless you're doing cocaine, in which case that's an overdose. Talking of which, Judgment, the Sega game, it's been sort of like recalled, I think, a little bit in Japan, or they've halted sales of it because of one of the main actors being arrested on cocaine charges. And it's like, come on, Japan, like let him have some fun. Just release Judgment to us. And I don't know, it seems like a weird thing to recall a game over. Like, one of our stars might have done some drugs. It's like, if he wants to, I don't mind. I'm not going to complain. I mean, it's basically a Yakuza game at this point. It's developed by Yakuza's team. And, like, I don't know. There's nothing more Yakuza than, like, drugs and, I guess, prostitution. I don't know. It's, you know what I mean? It all comes with the territory, really. It's kind of a hardcore game. It's like GTA being cancelled because one of the development team did a joint or something. Twitch does rhyme with bitch. I see what you did there, Nick. And, I'm not sure if I appreciate it, but that's definitely a rhyme. We'll get the old rhyming dictionary out at some point and just confirm that Twitch does rhyme with bitch. Yeah, this is basically just fitting congruent shapes together, is the main premise of Tetris. And I think there is something to be said for games these days that are just really, really tight control-wise. They've got a good concept, but you can play them as much or as little as you want. Stuff like Mini Metro, like, you can spend 5 to 10 minutes with Mini Metro and have fun, or you can spend hours with Mini Metro and have fun. Just really tight gameplay, and, like, you don't need a 60-hour story. Like, yeah, it's great to have a 60-hour story. There's some wonderful games with 60-hour stories, but I think it's become a little bit of a thing in the games industry more recently to just be like, we need hours and hours of content. And like, sometimes if you want to play the new releases and like 2 come out on the same day, that's like months of content that you've got to get through in a very, very short space of time. I did not mean to put that block there quite how I did. In Tetris DX you can sort of rotate them a little bit further. I want to try and fill that gap down there. You'll also notice that you can't hold blocks like you can in later versions of Tetris. This makes it a little bit harder, actually. You have to plan out your moves, and there are some times where you just cannot fit a block in without having a gap. But I think that aids problem-solving ability, because in Tetris, if you can get yourself out of a hole and you can do it quickly, then even better. Like, I don't know, I feel like Tetris has some really, like, great puzzle game qualities that more complex games don't really have. Like, I know Tetris is kind of... Is it the best-selling game of all time? It's close. It's up there on the list of best-selling games of all time. And, like, in a way, I don't mind. I know it's not an overly complex game or anything, but I think sometimes just great concepts well executed can be better than massive stories. And, you know, what's not to like about Tetris? The more you put into a game, the less there is to like sometimes. Sometimes it's great to have more stuff in a game, but obviously even Yakuza people dislike because it's too story focused. I'm playing quite badly actually here. Yeah, I don't think you can make the whole tube map in Mini Metro because you can only have, I think, up to 7 lines, so you wouldn't actually have enough lines to make the whole tube map. But it does give you, if you play the London map, it does give you the same colours as all the lines in London, so you could make something vaguely similar if you used all the major lines. I guess you could have like the Central, the Northern, Circle and District, some others, Bakerloo maybe. I wouldn't put the Waterloo and City in there because that's just 2 stops. That blew my mind when I realised that. There's a tube line in London that has 2 stops. Waterloo and Bank. And Bank used to be called City Station, which is why it's the Waterloo and City line. And I never really realised that until I rode it and I was like, oh, it's just terminus to terminus. It's cool, but it just seems kind of unnecessary. But apparently lots of people who work in banks kind of use it on the weekdays. It's closed on, I think, the weekends or maybe even just Sundays. But yeah, it's a strange little oddity of London's tube system to have a line that spans 2 stops. And here's one of the problems with original Tetris. Sometimes the bricks clamp on a little bit faster than I'd like them to. And there we go, 72 lines for our first game. Not too bad. I get to put my name in. That's great. I always find it hard with name entry screens. You never quite know what button to... There we go. You never know what button to press. I've pressed N, and it's just like, yep, you shall forever be known as N. Well, that'll do. Let's try the B-type game. And hopefully the B-type music, if I can get down there. Oh, what's this? That's pretty cool. That sounds nice and Russian. Yeah, Mill Hill East is on the Northern Line. It sort of branches off on the higher bit. It's like its own little terminus. But they were going to go further than that and I think meet the 2 lines up again or something. It was like the Northern Heights plan. But it just never happened. So we've got this weird little like appendage on the Northern Line called Mill Hill East, which is just... No one really goes there or lives... I suppose people live there. But like, no one really needs Mill Hill East. It's just one of those things where you're like, oh yeah, that's a thing that exists. I've never been there, personally. I bet AJ has. He goes to tube stops for fun sometimes. We can all learn from him. I just go to Angel. Not for fun, but for work. I quite like this second tune. I know the first tune of Tetris is like the classic bang where everyone's like, oh, that's the Tetris theme. Fun fact, I actually own a remix of the Tetris theme on vinyl by Andrew Lloyd Webber under some sort of DJ alias. It's just one of those oddities that you pick up on your travels. But yeah, the original Tetris theme is great. I think there's some really good bangers on Tetris DX as well, so I'll definitely be showing you those very soon. The shape rotation's a little bit slower in this as well. I'm sort of getting back used to it because Tetris DX is really my absolute main Tetris game. Like I don't really play any other apart from the one on my phone, which is nice and smooth as well. You go to New Cross for fun sometimes. I mean, I've been to New Cross for fun, mainly to go to the New Cross Inn and like see bands and have a drink, but it's still for fun. That still counts as for fun. Now, I don't entirely understand what Game Type B... I think Game Type B keeps you on the same level, so you don't advance levels. So... Or is there... I think... No, maybe there's less lines, because it counted down in lines. So maybe we've got to get a certain number of lines before Game Type B is complete. There is a 40 lines mode in Tetris DX, where you need to complete 40 lines in the quickest time. There we go, we're just waiting for the right blocks. What are we going to do with that double block? Not sure. I'm not entirely sure. We're going to have to make one empty space down there. Just has to be done. I do like the way Tetris sort of throws things at you. Especially without the hold block, you just have to try your best to cover every eventuality until you know what blocks are coming. I fear we might have made some mistakes in this game. Mistakes were made. But we only need 6 lines until something happens. So let's try and get those 6 lines and see if we actually win the game instead. Now, I was going to wear a Milwaukee Bucks cap today, but I didn't actually get time to put it on because setting up the stream took a little bit of effort because the Super Game Boy is very finicky. You've got the connectors of the Game Boy cartridge, then the connectors of the Super Game Boy into the SNES, and the SNES connectors, like any little wobble, and it's like, oh, I don't know about that, Chief. Oh, there we go. So it was just a set number of lines. What a wonderful noise. But yeah, we've got the Boston Celtics cap because it was right next to me. So that'll have to do. We'll get the Bucks hat next time, maybe. Hello! Thanks for joining us, AJ. We're just having a chill game of Tetris. I've managed to figure out how to put my name in. No, I haven't. Okay. We nearly went in as Nax, which would have been a bit of a disaster, to be honest. So what we can do, let's try level 9, but also let's make it a bit more difficult for ourselves. So we've got to get 25 lines, but we've also got a bit of noise in front of us in terms of the bricks that have been left from the last person to clean up, I guess. I don't know. So we're going to have to deal with this slightly more difficult version. It's not that much more difficult because it leaves some gaps that we can just exploit, and I think it's better than starting cold sometimes because you can just get instant lines instead of trying to line your own stuff up. But yeah, definitely a chill stream this time. I think sometimes I like to play things like Driver 3 where we were having big sort of infinite mass mode fun. But with the current cold and whatnot, I have no energy. I think going out to work today really did absolutely murder me, so it's good to just chill with Tetris, a game that I know well. And I guess it can be fun to watch. I hope it's fun to watch. I mean, I haven't seen anyone playing Tetris 99 yet. In a weird way, I don't really watch people stream games, which is hilarious because that's what I do every Wednesday. But I think with all the editing and composing and other stuff that I have to get done, I sort of, whoa. Tetris, what you doing, man? Tetris was just like, no, that's the game over. It's the Boston Celtics snap. I was going to wear my Milwaukee Bucks hat, and then I just didn't. So let's switch over to Tetris DX, because this is the ultimate version of Tetris. We've seen the original. Now it's time for the absolute best version you will find. Sometimes you just elbow your webcam. Every now and then. So this is one of the black Game Boy Color cartridges, which there were certain Game Boy Color cartridges which were compatible with the original Game Boy hardware. So I've got like NBA Jam 99 over here, which is, it's a black cartridge. It's 1999, so definitely in the Game Boy Color era. But it will play on original Game Boy hardware, so that's a cool thing. It's not just the grey carts that play. Anyway, let's get started. So, we're going to start as Nene, and we're going to do a marathon game, which is... So it's got some cool, like, 12-bar blues style music for the A type. They decided to replace the original Tetris theme, which I think is cool, because... you know, it's too much of a good thing, right? So basically, these black cartridges play in a slightly reduced colour format, so it kind of colours the game as it sees fit rather than its true colour. If you played this on a Game Boy Color, you'd see a lot more of the actual colours of the game. Oh wow, we're getting some pretty challenging pieces to start with. Okay, game. I see what you're trying to do. But yeah, the game plays much faster. Like, you can literally arrange your blocks nice and quick. You can rotate them whilst you're fitting them in, which I think is a massive advantage over the original Tetris. 12 Tris bar blue. I'm not sure that works, AJ. I can't sign off on that pun, unfortunately. Maybe Preston will sign off on it for you. He is a lover of puns. But yeah, we've got a few challenging blocks here. but nothing too bad. So marathon mode here is basically just play until you lose, and every X number of lines the level increases, the speed increases, and the game just gets a little bit harder. So there's still no hold function, so I grew up without really ever needing the hold function, which is a good thing, because once you get it, you just use it when you need it rather than relying on it for points. I mean, sometimes you'll save the big long blocks that allow you to get a Tetris, but other than that, I don't really use it, so... Oh yeah, this theme goes hard. And it's quite good because it doesn't like loop after 20 or 30 seconds, like it loops after a decent amount of time, so you can sort of enjoy your Tetrising experience a little bit more than the original. And it's weird because no one really talks about Tetris DX either. Like, it seems to be everyone just talks about the original Tetris, which is fine, but it was a bit slow. It didn't have that many game modes. Like, this has got 40 lines, Ultra, and Versus Computer, which is... I'll show you what Versus Computer's like. It's a weird one. But I guess all multiplayer back in the day kind of was, when it was just against the computer. What have we done here? There we go. Right, that's slotted in. I'm sure I used to be a little bit better at Tetris as well. I play it like every night before I went to bed just because I had nothing else to do. Which sounds kind of sad, but I don't think it is. Video games are cool, right? But yeah, I think playing at some sort of speed is kind of a bit of a Tetris master skill. Like, if you can play without really thinking about what you're doing, then that's really the way forward, because you'll just get points, you'll rack them up without thinking about it. Which is what I've seen when you do see the really good Tetris players. Literally, they just... Well, they don't do that. That's a mistake. But they just sort of... They know exactly where the pieces should go, and... You can never 100% cover all bases, but really the main difficulty of Tetris is when it speeds up. Like, this kind of slow gameplay, it's just easy. So we're going to try and get lots of lines and make it more difficult for ourselves. Well, that certainly has made it more difficult. I've got to say, playing this on a SNES controller has made it that much harder, because the Game Boy pad seems to just be that bit less spongy. Ah, Tetris DS or Tetris DX, because I remember playing Tetris on the DS as well, but I didn't really rate it. I think all versions of Tetris are very similar, but sometimes there's tiny differences that just irk me. Like here, you can rotate the pieces in place. Like before you drop them, you can rotate them in place above where you're going to drop them, which can be kind of handy if you're trying to think about something, especially on the faster speed modes. And some games don't allow for that, so it's the small differences that count, really, with Tetris. Oh, what are we going to do here? I'll have to... Got some gaps to fill in, definitely. And then that goes there. That goes in there. That goes in there. It's Tetris problem solving. It's perfect. I don't know. I mean, this is... For me, this is, like, incredibly relaxing. I don't think I'd ever try and play Tetris at a proper competitive standard, because I think that kind of defeats the point of it for me. Like this was sort of a before bed routine, just to play a little bit of Tetris, wind down from the day, and like I can kind of switch my brain off and play it. I'm not saying I'm the best ever, but you know, we can have a decent game of Tetris. I'd be interested to see how much Tetris you guys have played, because it is quite a basic game. Like, I feel like once you've played a bit of Tetris, you might never even come back to it if you didn't give it a second thought. But where it was one of my sort of 4 or 5 Game Boy Color games, and that was the only console I had for a while, it definitely got rinsed. Yeah, I think there's probably a version of Tetris on near every console, thinking about it. I know the Mega Drive version of Tetris is incredibly rare and goes for like... Well, would go for ridiculous amounts, because I think there was like 1 or 2 ever made, so if you ever see Tetris on the Mega Drive, be suspicious, because that is a rare game. Yeah, that's actually what it is. I'm a potential Tetris World Champion. I really can't be bothered with all the acclaim and fame that comes with it. You know, I'd just be smashing people's phones left, right and centre, getting arrested. We can't be having that. That would really mess up the Armbar arcade upload schedule. So we're building ever higher in the hope that we get one of those long blocks just to... What we can do though is something like that, and then that allows us to build up again without actually needing to... Because sometimes you can kind of block the screen up with... I don't know what to call them, like holes I guess? Like where there's no blocks. What you really want to do is get a tight, congruent set of blocks. That's it. Maybe this should be a challenge belt. Can you imagine the next... AJ, one of your 2 games is Tetris. I might do that, you know. You've put an idea in my head. Then again, you probably won't choose it unless you're secretly also a Tetris World Champion. Can you imagine the scenes if we're both secretly Tetris World Champions? There cannot be 2 Tetris World Champions. There can only be 1. Oh, you've never... Now that's... It's unsurprising, but at the same time it's kind of surprising. Like... AJ's never played Tetris? Like, I know you're a racing game guy, but you've... I don't know. Tetris is on so many consoles, like, it's hard to avoid. How have you avoided playing Tetris? I want to know. Literally, like, there's sometimes AJ will just be like, I've never played this game. And I'm like, how have you avoided this? Like Legend of Zelda. He's like, yeah, I've never played a Legend of Zelda game. I'm like, I know you're not a Nintendo guy, but fam. We need to get AJ into several Nintendo franchises, I feel. Yeah, you gotta play it. I mean, if you've never played the original Tetris, it's not that big of a loss. Like, I didn't play the original Tetris for ages. This was the only Tetris game I had. And it probably shows, like, I'm probably doing better at clearing lines here than I was on the original Tetris, just because it's a little bit smoother, a little bit more responsive. But if I can find 2 games that AJ's never played and be like, well, it's a choice between Tetris and Legend of Zelda, then I'm guaranteed to potentially defend the challenge belt again. Who knows? We've got to get through, though. Thinking about it, we have got to get through my first pick. I've got a free pick before I've even got to pick 2 games, so that's actually a little bit down the road. Oh, there we go. I sort of rotated it into a safe-ish spot. That's not exactly where I wanted it. But we're back down again to the floor, basically. If you clear all the blocks, some games reward you for clearing every block off screen. And some versions don't reward you. I quite like the ones that don't, because what's the point, really? Unless it's... You have to build up a full Tetris and then clear it, and then that will clear the entire screen. Which is kind of an achievement, but, like... You know, you've got points for that. Anyway, this is going to be our 100th line. Ready? There we go. Our 100th line. Snorted. Are you allowed to do that on Twitch? I hope you are. It was a joke, Twitch. Please don't ban me. Tetris... Did you... So you've played Tetris 99, Preston? Tell me how it is, because... I feel like I could probably beat some falls. Maybe not all the falls, but some falls. It seems like a good concept to me. Like, there's the Tetris noise. Love it. It seems like a really good concept to me, because obviously the Battle Royale genre is huge at the minute, and like, Tetris Battle Royale, like, that's amazing. That's the sort of thing I wanted in my childhood when I was actually a little bit better at the game. I feel like I've kind of lost some of my attention span over the years. We were doing so well. We got like a back-to-back Tetris run. Some games also give you points for back-to-back Tetrises. Some points just give you the points for Tetrises. It's a minefield out there, really, in trying to score Tetris games. Here we go. So, some of the old skills are coming back. I can feel it. This is probably not something to play against me for the challenge belt, AJ. Just so you know. Oh, we're going to go there so that we can then do this and keep the path clear for one of the big blocks, should one come along. Hint, hint, game. I want a big block. There it is. There's the big long block. Which sounds like an innuendo, but actually isn't. Oh. There we go. You can do clutch gaming like that on this version. In the old version, it would have just stuck a block somewhere you didn't want it, and you'd be like, come on, Tetris. I know you were released in like 1989, but give me a break. So yeah, this is basically like the majority of my Tetris play is spent doing this until things get too fast and I can no longer score points. You want to just keep a nice little clear channel for point scoring, and then if you have to, just let it down a little bit. You got to let it grow and then cut it down, then let it grow, then cut it down. You know what I'm saying? Much the same as, I don't know, sugar cultivation. Told you it was a chill stream. We're just talking absolute nonsense. We got a little gap there. We need to deal with that. Oh, why did I do that? See, I was reading chat before, and now the game's got just fast enough where I can like look down, but I can't exactly read what is being put. So leave some stuff for me to read once I've completed this session of Marathon. It shouldn't be that long. I think 140 lines is pretty good. Like level 19 is about the highest I've ever got to, so that's nearing 190 lines. I probably won't get that far this time because that was like right in the middle of my best Tetris runs ever. But if we can clear back down to the bottom, anything is possible. Every line helps. Oh, there we go. See, that's the sort of clutch gaming you can do on this newer version that just was not possible before. Just the clutch rotations. I think they're called like T-spins or something, but I forget the terminology. It's just absolute clutch Tetris gaming. There we go. We're back to... Basically, the music increases speed as you make your way up the playfield. So if the music's going super fast, you know you're in trouble. Like this. We're not really in trouble, though. We just need a few blocks to fall our way. Yeah, that's not what I meant. That is not what I meant to do. I think that's game over, but 151 lines. Whew. So all it's got is a Tetris 99 Battle Royale mode, but I guess that's fair for a Tetris game. So what we're going to do next... Oh, here we go. So at the end of this, you get a rocket. The best one, I believe, is the Statue of Liberty, which blasts off. But you can also get a big rocket, a salt shaker, some other stuff. But the Statue of Liberty is the absolute, I think, the absolute best. So let's go back, and we're going to do Ultra, which is a 3-minute point scoring contest. That's just banging out the Tetrises. You just got to keep getting those 4 lines. Just keep doing 4 lines. And what we're also going to do is get Type B music, which is a little bit more sort of building up. So we're going to start it. We're going to go on level 9 because what you need to do on level... Well, you need as many points as possible, basically. So the faster the blocks go, the more points you get. So level 9 is the place to be. So all we want to do here is get Tetrises. We don't really want to get anything other than the 4 block clears. Easier said than done, though, because depending on what shapes come up... There's one. But yeah, that's the way to maximum points in Ultra mode. And basically, in Ultra mode, after 3 minutes, your points are counted, and that's all you will get. So you need some helpful block drops as well. We're doing okay. I'm going to do that, which is a little strategy that might pay off. It might not pay off. Sometimes the blocks just do not drop the way you'd want. It's going okay because we can clear that, and now we've got a clear path to do a Tetris or 2. There we go. That's another one. Another one. Another one. It's the DJ Khaled version of Tetris. I don't know what to do with this block. In the end, we didn't actually do something great with it, but it's fine. Seeing as it's a time-limited mode, it probably won't matter. Let's stick that in there. We're going to have to do a little bit of creative problem solving on the fly. But everything counts as points, so even clearing these mistakes is going to help us out in the long run. And maybe we'll get back to doing some more Tetrises. There we go, we got a double block there. But yeah, what's the general standard of people on Tetris 99? Because I feel like there's probably some people who are really decent at it, and then there's probably people who are just not great at Tetris, which is the type of people that I like to play at Tetris, because really, like, complete dominance is the only way forwards. Sometimes I miss the hold feature. Is there a hold feature? I assume there's a hold feature on Tetris 99. People would miss it otherwise. We've got 30 seconds to score as many points as possible. Can we get another Tetris in? Probably, maybe. Definitely maybe. It's not looking likely. Just going to have to play at absolute speed. Oh, no, that's... Let's just try and get another line in before time runs out. There we go, 35,000 points. That is an amount of points. No, I don't want to play again. How do I... Oh, there we go. So, we're going to go back. Next mode is 40 lines, which is how fast can you clear 40 lines. So, it's kind of like Ultra, but the other way. It's lines rather than a time limit. This is a really funky tune. I kind of appreciate that, because obviously Tetris, the original, only had 2 tunes. One of them classic, one of them decent. But this is probably the best tune on Tetris. So we're going to go with level 8. And then we won't build it up at all, because why would we want to do that? So basically, we've got to clear 40 lines in as little time as possible. So Tetrises are good, because 10 Tetrises is 40 lines. So we just want to build high and try and get those big long blocks to fall for us. But we will take any lines we can get, really, because points don't really matter in this mode. So if we can't get Tetrises, doesn't matter. If we build up a few gaps, it doesn't really matter either. It's literally just about setting yourself up to clear 40 lines. Which I suppose is why it's called 40 lines and not something else. I think this one allows you to practice your sort of Tetris logic more than other modes, because you can sort of experiment a little bit with what's best for getting the lines. There we go, there's a Tetris. Get another line there. Another 2 lines there. Another 2 lines there. We've got 25 lines to go. So we're not quite halfway yet, but I think it's going well. I don't know what a standard time to clear the mode is. That's the only thing. I think all the high scores left on here were from someone who used to own the cart before me, so... Because that's one thing, you can't wipe any of the high score data, so like, just other people's names are on here, and I'm like, who are you? Who is this person? Obviously I should beat all their scores, but... I'm sure at some point I did try to. There we go. So we've done 20 lines, 20 to go. 19 to go. Let's try and build up some more Tetrises. They are the absolute fastest way to get rid of lines. Music's getting a little bit faster again to let us know that we're getting up quite high, but I don't think that's the worst thing here. Sometimes I go to do something and I'm just a little bit too fast for the actual move that I want to do. Like my brain's working a second ahead of the game. Like there. Okay, we've got 11 lines to go. This isn't a disaster. It's only slightly a disaster. There we go, 9 lines to go. Oh, that's not great. That really isn't great. I'm not sure we're going to make these 40 lines, you know. I'm going to have to give that another attempt. That was pretty poor for me, actually. Right. This is the real attempt. That was just a warm-up. It really does depend how the blocks fall, though. If you get good blocks, you can absolutely smash out 40 lines in no time at all. Like, this is looking much better. Much more promising. We got tons of the S-shaped blocks to start with last time, which was kind of a pain because we had nowhere to put them. Whereas now we've got, yeah, we've got perfect spaces for everything at the minute. I do try and plan ahead because you can tell one move ahead what's going to fall. So we're going to take the 2 there, but set ourselves up for lots more Tetrises. Whack a Tetris out, take another 2. This is a much better example of how to play 40 lines mode. I don't know what I was doing the first time. Definitely a warm-up. Just for my brain, really. Another Tetris. 28 lines to go. This is much faster than last time as well. See if we can't do it in under 3 minutes. That will be kind of an impressive time, I assume. I guess also another aspect of this is not waiting for the long blocks. Obviously, if you've got stuff to fill, then maybe it's better to just go for it. I don't know, there's all sorts of Tetris strategies. Let's try and get some lines here. A little bit of a dangerous strategy maybe, but I just felt like there weren't enough long blocks falling for us. There we go, it's opened back up. And then we can get a... Oh no, we can't get a Tetris there. We're slowly trying to open the board back up to score points. It's not going to be a sub 3 minute time. We're definitely going to need a little bit more than 3 minutes. Hopefully not too much more than 3 minutes though. I think it's good though to have different sort of challenge modes, because the original Tetris was just like, yeah, mode A and mode B, they're basically the same, and it's like, well, I'd quite enjoy different ways of playing Tetris, just don't put it in 3D, please. There we go, we've opened the board up again. That's all it really is, just creating problems for yourself and solving. Ooh, that was a bad move. And then when you solve the problems, you get more lines anyway. And then we're going to whip that in there. We're going to whip that in there. And then if we get a long one, we should be able to get the last 3 or 4... Oh, why did I do that? This SNES pad is very slightly... You might be able to hear it squeaking in the background. It needs like WD-40 or some sort of lubricant, perhaps. Anyway, we're going to go for the sub 4 minute time. 3:57 for 40 lines. I need to check the MFD for a new strategy option once I do silly moves like that. Now when you complete this one you get a fireworks show. I think it depends based on the time. If you don't do very well you get like 1 firework. If you do decently then you get lots. I think Ultra Mode has a special thing at the end of it as well if you get enough points, but we just didn't get enough points. That's how it goes sometimes, you just don't get enough points. Big firework. There we go. There's Nene on the board at 3:57. Another thing this game does is rate your total power. So based on your performance, you have a power rating and how many lines you've ever done. So we're 3 lines off 1,000. So this must be quite a new file. I can't remember when I last played Tetris, but we're going to play against the computer now, which is an interesting one. We're going to go with the normal computer on level 5. Why not? So basically you play and the computer plays, and every now and then he'll give you some blocks. It's a bit like Puyo Puyo or Pokemon Puzzle League. That signals that we're going to get some... There we go, he's given us some blocks. Luckily, they're right where we want them. And they stay there, so you can just literally Tetris him straight back. As soon as you get a long block, that's exactly where it's going. I don't know how the computer got so many blocks off straight away, but have some back, mate. So that little bar in the corner, which is filling up, indicates where he is on the board. So where the computer player is in relation to us. We are going to need to start getting some of these longer blocks, otherwise we're really going to be struggling. Or I could just do something stupid like that. How is the computer so good? Yeah, wow. Way to destroy me, computer player. So that's 1 out of 3. So it's a best of 5. Basically, you play the computer in a best of 5, and whoever wins, wins, I guess. But the computer seems to love its like instant domination, so we need to get a quick start as well and start sort of chipping away at the computer. How many times, man? But yeah, the variation of modes in Tetris DX is part of what makes it so good. Because like we were saying, Tetris 99 is just a Battle Royale mode, so there's none of this kind of good single player content. We are really struggling against this computer for some reason. Just piling on the blocks. Might have to play against the easy computer because that's just ridiculous. But we have to play the last round for some reason. It's like, no, I want to beat you fair and square. Problem is you can never really predict where those blocks are coming, otherwise I'd just leave it clear and smash him a Tetris straight back. But maybe this time is the go where we're going to start doing well. Hopefully. Give it a rest, mate. Literally constant. I don't know what the computer's doing, but it seems to be working. Whereas we can't even catch a break. Right, take those 2 blocks. So we are affecting him. We're just doing far less lines than he is. He's just absolutely fiending it. But here comes the Tetris. And then if we can clear this, we can get another Tetris pretty quick as long as we get one of those long blocks. Nay versus computer. It's the battle of the century. Who will win, man or machine? Probably machine, if we're being completely honest with ourselves. Where are these long blocks when you need them? Oh, there they are. The second we stop ourselves from doing a Tetris, it's like, yeah, have some long... Oh, yeah. Yeah, okay. Now give me the long blocks. I don't think there were Super Mario 64 sounds. So, well, I think what we're going to do to finish this stream... I said it was going to be a short one. We're going to do some marathon. We're going to set the music to A-type. And we're going to go. So yeah, we're just going to get the highest score possible. Last time we got 140 lines. We'll try and do an even higher score than that. And then maybe call it a night. I mean, Tetris was never going to be the most content ever. Just a little relaxing stream. I'm still ill. But I'm glad that you decided to join me for the stream because, to be honest, I know people have got stuff to do. And yeah, it's a Wednesday night. What do people usually do on a Wednesday night? Obviously, I stream now, so I can't remember what normal people do on a Wednesday night. But it's good to have everyone along. Did they have Mario? Of course they did. It was called Mario Kart 64. Yeah, the original Super Mario Kart on the SNES, Mario Kart 64, Double Dash on the GameCube, Wii on the Wii. Wii on the Wii? That sounded odd. Mario Kart 7 on the DS, obviously Mario Kart DS as well, on the 3DS I should say. Super Circuit was on the Game Boy Advance. Loads of Mario Kart games, good series. See, this is more like it. This is more like the professional play that we're used to. This is what I thought I was going to be doing all night. I was like, I'm going to show off my Tetris skills. They've sort of come and gone, really. Some of my play's been good, some of my play's been absolutely horrendous. We need a specific type of block. This is when whole blocks are good because you can get the types of block that you need. Whereas here we just have to wait them out. And when you're waiting for the big long blocks, one just never wants to come. Like, sometimes there's a big drought for the long blocks, and then by the time one actually does come, you've kind of messed your whole game up just waiting for that one block. Which is kind of the story of this. Like, what is going on? Send me a big block. The second I block off my route, they're like, yeah, have it. We got your order for a big block. Here it is. I'm like, you're too late. You're literally far too late. We're having another go at that. 18 lines is just nowhere near good enough. What monster flavours don't we have? I want a full list. Nick's saying we don't have some good monster flavours. I want to know what we're missing out on. Better be some like blueberry and raspberry stuff or something that just sounds absolutely munch. Otherwise it's not worth feeling bad over. Sometimes the game sound effects cut out the main game tune, which I think is funny because, you know, how much hardware processing is the main game tune taking up, but apparently it's all the audio channels. Every single audio channel. Alright, we're going to need to clear this. Sometimes you don't leave space for these double blocks, and then you kind of have to just clear them by yourself. Like that. He's going to compile a list on the Discord. I want a full list. I don't want you missing any flavours. I want to know every single flavour that I am personally missing out on. Here we go. This is coming together a lot better. We've got to remember though, don't wait for these long blocks for too long. It's getting tempting. If we could just have one long block. Please. There we go. Just as I was about to give up on hoping for one. There's a Tetris. We're going to clear this off. There we go. Basically, you just want to get back to square one. That's all you're really trying to do with Tetris, is just clear the board, start again, get all your Tetrises, and score as many points as possible, really. Yeah, or your kid dies. Good thing you don't have one. Or do you? Plot twist. Another reason this is going to be a fairly short stream is because afterwards I'm going to be editing the beatdown for Friday. There is a beatdown. It will be on Friday, and it's currently at about 10% edited, I would say. But I'm going out tomorrow night, so it will need to be edited. So obviously, to give myself time to do that, this is going to be our final game of Tetris. It might last for quite a while longer, but it will be our final game. Now we've started doing okay. I think you got to end on a high note with streams. You can't be ending your streams on a low note. Otherwise, you click end stream and you just think that was wank. Are we going to be cheeky? I think we are. Going to be cheeky and regret it later. Or maybe we won't. Maybe it'll start falling in our favour. Well, it would have done if I didn't accidentally do the wrong thing. So we're going to block that up for a second. Hopefully no long blocks fall while we just fix our mistakes. And we've made a few more mistakes that we've got to fix, but it's fine, we'll get there. We get to listen to this cool, high-pitched version of the theme. Oh, well, that was interesting. The recovery after Sonic 06 has been alright. I didn't want to do a beatdown for a while because I think it was just a terrible, terrible game. But here we are. We're on the road to recovery. But yeah, thank you for joining me for Tetris. It's been fun. It's one of my favourite games. It's kind of like low-key favourite game. Like, you know, you wouldn't, if someone said, "What's your favourite game ever?" you can go, "Oh yeah, it's Tetris." But well, you might if you were like a massive hipster or something. But I'm not. Well, hopefully anyway. 140 line game will have to be the highlight of the stream because we've just been struggling otherwise. But if I was on a Game Boy, I'm sure I'd definitely do much better, maybe. But yeah, thank you for joining me. If you've enjoyed this stream, then, I mean, you probably all already follow and whatever. So, but if you don't, follow us on Twitch. Follow us on YouTube, subscribe, do whatever. There's buttons to click. Click all the buttons you possibly can and see how that goes for you. But yeah, thank you for joining me. I've been Nay, this has been the Retro Lounge, and I will see you next time in the Armbar Arcade.